Hey, everybody. Welcome to Daylight with Greg Day, a program designed to shed light on all the issues affecting our city and surrounding communities. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving and are looking forward to the Christmas holidays upcoming. I had a good Thanksgiving myself, and that's why I've been on break for a little while. But some good stuff to jump right back in to my little series here. Okay, I'm going to be referencing a lot my notes so that I can stick to my timeline and not go off on too many tangents. So, all right, what happened? Yesterday, the Board of Supervisors for the San Diego County voted 3-1, prohibiting the county from providing assistance to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency in civil immigration enforcement. Like I said, that was a 3-1 vote. There are 5 members on the board. So Jim Desmond voted against, and Joel Anderson was absent due to illness. In response to the board's actions, the sheriff's office put out a statement on social media, and essentially coming from the Sheriff Kelly Martinez herself, saying a couple things. The first was they were saying there is no loophole in state law that needs to be closed. This is referencing Chair Nora Vargas's letter stating that there was a loophole and this action was necessary. The sheriff also then went on to say that the office is independently elected and that the Board of Supervisors has no authority over how the sheriff department operates or over its facilities. And then the closing was very distinct to, or a very assertive response to what took place, by saying the sheriff's office will not change its practices based on the board resolution and policy. Okay, so why is all this important? First, let's talk with the sheriff's response. They're saying, essentially, there's no legal reason why the board needed to take any action. She doesn't appreciate the board interfering in an independently elected office, and she's not going to do anything as a result. I would add, however, that even though she's basically saying they're independent, they are not independent from state law. California is already a sanctuary state, and there are actions that are already on the books that prevent the sheriff's department or any other law enforcement from cooperating with ICE. Okay. With that being said, because of sanctuary policies, and the fact that Texas has been taking a very drastically different stance than California, more than 155,000 immigrants have been released on the streets of San Diego County alone over the past 12 to 15 months, and more than 250,000 people have crossed the California border, not just the U.S. border. With the fact that the Trump administration is planning to have a very different approach, and that's understating things, than the Biden administration did over the past 4 years, the likelihood that that's going to change goes up. These are the things that I think everybody needs to consider when we're talking about the border crisis, illegal immigration, whatever you want to call it. The first, a lack of enforcement at the border and sanctuary policies, those two things have created the largest period of illegal entry into the United States in our nation's history. We here in Carlsbad ourselves are experiencing this. Just a couple months ago, we had the boat come ashore hundreds of yards from the Carlsbad border with Encinitas. And that was right along the beaches. Luckily, not a big summer day and a lot of swimmers, but not a safe situation. And mayors themselves were pointing out that law enforcement said there would have been nothing we could do about it. Okay. When we are talking about illegal immigration, there is this counter reaction when people talk about the illegal side of it. it must be stated as an absolute fact that a criminal element is very much associated with this unprecedented amount of illegal immigration. And I don't just mean talking about the cartels assisting people across the border. I mean those who are actually crossing the border are there are a lot of criminals in that group. Not everybody, but quite a few. And we here in Carlsbad have experienced that element itself. Okay, that's a fact. Ask the police yourself. The other thing is the concern of families that are being separated. This human cost to enforcing the border is brought up, and this is also was one of the big arguments that Chair Vargas had with what I would really say was a political gesture with what the San Diego Board of Supervisors just did. But they're talking about this human cost, separation of families. When you're sending somebody back across the border, you're tearing these families apart. Okay. We need to understand that there is something that needs to be weighed here, because there is a human crisis going on. Our policies have fostered the largest act of crossing into the United States illegally, and that has a huge humanitarian cost. There is human trafficking, rape, and death, and this absolutely includes children. And I don't mean 17-year-olds. I mean 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds. That is absolutely what is happening. It is so bad and disgusting that Border Patrol agent retention is the lowest it has ever been, and their suicide rates are at their highest. And not just within the agency themselves, they have the highest rate of suicide in law enforcement in the United States. So this humanitarian cost it's unprecedented, and it's very real. So being concerned about separating families, absolutely, I get it. But we're fostering this, and the consequences are far worse. So what's next? Well, without a doubt, under the new Trump administration, the federal government is going to reduce the amount of people crossing the United States border. The question is that going to be the same thing with California? Are those reductions going to go down? Are they going to stay the same, or are they actually going to go up? We know, we've already heard the news that the state is preempting, or already setting up a network to fight against anything that the Trump administration wants to change, including the tune of already $25 million to fund legal cases for illegal immigrants fighting deportation. Okay, that's your tax dollars. So the other question that needs to be asked is, what about the illegal immigrants that are already in this country? What about the people that are still trying to get into this country? If Texas has closed its border, and California is a sanctuary state, we've already seen the shift in where people are trying to enter. What about the people already in the United States? Okay, so if the US government starts cracking down on people inside the country, and the biggest, strongest sanctuary state of all, California, is saying, we're standing up against the federal government, where do we think those people are going to go? Are we going to see a massive migration within our own country of illegal immigrants coming to California? So the real question is, what's going to happen to us in Carlsbad, in Encinitas, Oceanside, right? All our smaller cities. How's this going to impact us? Because Carlsbad PD, Oceanside PD, the sheriff, they're bound by state law. So there's only one way to make change, and that is through Sacramento. So based on what I've said, I think it's probably obvious how I feel and what I would argue, but think about those things. Think about the consequences of what is actually taking place. And based on that, if you want to see a change, you've got to go to your city and demand that the voice of the city yell at Sacramento. And then you've got to call your representatives themselves, and you've got to say, this is not okay. I'm not fine with the human trafficking, the rape, the murder, the starvation that our policies are creating. And there is a better way to do this, and sanctuary is not that way. Thanks everybody for watching. More to come on all those sorts of issues. Please spread this around. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again soon.